applied for what I thought was second semester.
All right, we are back, and looks like we're live, and you can hear me now. We are COMP3025 in the winter 2017 semester, and week 8, part 2 of our broadcasts at Georgian, mobile and pervasive computing. We'll put the other one up as a recording as opposed to just a broadcast, and that's why I do the recordings at the same time. It saved me twice this week for whatever reason, right? Bad recording. We left off with, we have our little app. Let me just actually go back to my app here for a second. Here's my little app. And I wanted to add pages is where I was going with this, right? And if I open up in Terminal, I want to perform the page add, right? And it's a generates. If I go back to our CLI information here, we can see that Ionic G page and whatever my page is called. It's going to generate everything for us. Can we do this on our own? Yes. Is it recommended? Hell no, because there's a lot of other links that are included here, not just these pages, when it comes to stuff. And so we want to make sure that we do this properly. So what I want to do is I want to add my pages first. So I want to add the camera page that I want to add in first, and I want to delete some of the other pages that I don't need. So I'm going to modify my the way my app is kind of formatted as well. All right, and it's just easier for me to add than remove. Removing is much easier. I guess I always say it's easier to destroy than to build, right? So we're gonna just delete stuff from here. Okay, let's try this out. So again, I'm here in my files here, and I'm gonna put in this command Ionic G for generate page, and my page is gonna be camera. All right, so it's gonna go out, grab the stuff I need, and generate the pages that I want. Cool. Okay, cool. And if I see my pages now, I have about, camera, contact, and home. Home I'll keep, but contact and about I'm going to kill. So what's the right way to do it? Should I just destroy it here like this, or would you recommend go through Ionic? Is there a way to go through Ionic to remove pages? CLI, right? So generate stuff. But is there a way through Ionic you know of to remove, right? Here's my builds. If I want to build my Ionic for a particular platform, I can also run, serve, or start, but is there a way to remove? And I'm pretty sure I don't think there is one off the top of my head. I checked it last time. So if I was going to go Ionic by itself again from a service perspective, you can see that these are all the things I can do. Lists, hooks, add. There is a remove. But this is for this is the remove from a particular add-on. Let me try this out. So if I go Ionic remove, and then it should give me a sub. Yeah, so this is just for Bower components, like I thought. Yeah, that's what it says. Bower components will be removed. All right, so there's not really a way of doing this. Let's just do it through. There's two ways we can do it through our native operating system, which I recommend. I mean, they can do it through here too, but I like to do it through my native operating system because I have direct control, right? So I can go in here and just kill the stuff I don't want. Now I have to modify some pages when I do this, right? Manually. But again, it's easier to destroy than to build. So if I look at my source pages, if I go to pages, I want to kill my about page. So we'll delete this. So move to trash. And I'll kill my contact page. So I don't care about this right now. So I'm formatting out my stuff. I'm going to have to update my tabs in a second, which is where I have to do stuff. And I'm also have to update my other portions, my components for my model, right? We're going to see that in a second. So if I go back to tabs, if I go to my HTML, this is what my tabs looks like. Obviously, I don't want to have context. I want to change this to camera. So I'm going to go to camera. Right, that's one thing I want to get rid of. And then tab icon, I don't think there's a camera, but we'll try it out. And I want to make this tab 2 root as opposed to tab 3 root. So I'm going to put this in the middle and get rid of this about page. All right, so that's what I want to kind of form out. This is one part, tabs.ts. If you notice, this loads everything in and it describes what each page is. So just like I've done here, I've got to import my pages. So I got my about and my contact page. Get rid of these. So I don't care about this. I'm going to import my, instead of from home page, it's going to be from camera. Now, this is something interesting. can I, if I undo for a second, notice that I have about page and contact page, and from my camera, with my camera.ts, this is about, or sorry, if you notice there's home, and then I have camera, and camera page is what it's going to be called. It just naturally does that, whatever I called it, camera page, right? So that's what I have to import from this particular place. So if I go back to this, right? So instead of this, if I take this as a pattern, right, and I put it in, I'm going to say camera page in there. I'm really talented today. Camera page, right? And it's not going to go from contact. It's going to go from camera. Right? That's where this is coming from. And I got to get rid of these two because I don't care about that. At the same time, I've got to re-streamline my tab to route to camera page. I want to make sure that that is where it's going to be at and get rid of the contact page. Is that the only thing I need to do? Or is there something else? So I've changed my tabs. My tab layout is different, but will it connect to my camera page at this point? Is that enough? No. And there is under my app, notice my app components. I've got my tabs page, and I've got my platform and this stuff. This is okay. I'm not changing any of this. How about my module? Here, that's different, right? So I've got my home page, my tabs page, my contact page, my about page. Notice my home page is like last. And I want to kind of do that for my camera page. I'm going to kind of go in here and go import, and then camera page. And again, from pages, camera. There we go. That's one part. And then the other part is down in here. I've got to add in it as a declaration. So camera page. Come on, Tom. And then get rid of all this, because we don't care about that stuff. Same stuff we've done before, and the same thing down here. Why do we have to do this? Because both the declaration and entry components have to be established in your module in order for you to be able to switch from one page to the other. Okay, oof, I think that's enough. Let's test it now the way it is. We've just added it, removed pages and added pages, reformatted our app a little bit to make sure it works. I'm going to go back in here, and we're going to go to Ionic serve. And if everything goes well, fantastic. If the things don't go well, we'll know in a second. And we'll try and troubleshoot the problem. We should see only 2 pages, home and camera. Hey, look, it even picked up my Ionic on, right? Yay. Okay. So we've got our pages. This is going to be our start page. Our home page is going to say, you know, a little app for taking pictures. And in my camera, I want to be able to have access to my native camera. I think for desktop, if I'm not wrong, it'll give me access to my webcam, right? Let's see how it goes, right? Part 2. So now that we've done that, we want to go back into native. And we've loaded in native, but we want to add in our camera. So let's go back and see here. Now, again, this is where we're going to get in some, we're going to come up with some challenges. I'm just putting it out there to you ahead of time because now this is really good. Now they have the actual plugin here. And a lot of times with the plugin comes example projects that they give you. All right, so we have to look here later on. But for now, I need to put in this thing here, right? So this line here that's going to add in stuff. So stop this. Let's clear the screen, and we'll go back over here, and we'll go into Ionic, plugin, add Cordova -plugin -camera. And if that goes well, and we're going to have the camera app installed. Okay, so cool. So we've added that in. So it says for iOS, right? How come it didn't fetch it for Android? Because my platform, I only have one platform installed. By default, it's iOS, and I don't have Android. How do I add a platform? Oh, guys, you're as tired as I am this morning. I might be more tired, I have to say. So CLI, so if I want to go to my platform, right, you can see that I want to add a platform, Ionic platform, right? And then what platform do I want to add? So if I go back to, I want to add Android. Now, sometimes this works and sometimes this doesn't. So let's check this. If I go Ionic platform by itself, it should list, yeah, it should list the platforms that I have in. Notice that these are the platforms that I have. I want to add in Android. So Ionic platform, add Android. And it'll do its business. There we go. So I've got Android and iOS. Let's go back there and do that plugin again. I'm doing this for a reason. Sometimes, you can do it, but notice it also added in for, it says plugin camera already installed on Android. Thank God. So either way, if you do one or the other, it adds it in. How about the other one I want to add? I want to make it look so it works for the web, which is what I'm using here. I don't have Android or iOS. So again, if I go Ionic platform, and if it lists all the platforms I have, it'll show me my installed platforms up here. And the one that I want is WebOS or browser. Which one? Browser or WebOS? You sure? Let's add them both in. So how do I do that? Ionic platform, add. Okay, so browser as well as WebOS. Okay. See if it does both those. Can it do both those? Looks like, oh. There we go. Running command. Please make sure you meet the software requirements in order to build WebOS Cordova. Error. Why wouldn't I be not able to do this, by the way, WebOS? Because I believe WebOS is not for Mac OS at all. And if I looked at the Ionic platform, Ionic platform, yes, you can see that those are the ones I have. That's just should do. So WebOS, no. OS 10, there's one for OS 10. If I want to build it for native, if I want to build a native app for me as well, let's try that out as well. So Ionic platform, add OS 10. This will use Cocoa, right? So it'll actually do a Cocoa native app for Mac, right? And if I want to do Ionic run, right? Now I've got to choose the platform, right? If I go Ionic build, I can do a build OS X. If I want to try and do that the way it is right now. This is where it is. So I'm building, transpiling, right? It won't serve, it'll just build, right? So it'll convert everything to what I have. So I'll actually create my project, my builds, right, for local. It'll be the same for iOS or Android. Okay. And if I want to run it, so Ionic run, Ionic run OS 10. If I'm doing this correctly, then it'll try and build it again, and then it'll run it, and it should pop up a little window. That's not native. It's a native app for OS 10. That's why Ionic is so cool, right? You can make native apps with it, like from the get-go, right? So here we go. Look, here's my little native app, a little Windows application, right? And notice that it's not. I can't rescale this thing or whatever, right? It's just the way it is. If I click take camera, right? Does it move? There it is. Finally, here's home. So not great, not amazing, but it does give me a whole native app for OS 10. Okay, that's cool. Let's just stop that little app from running, and let's do the next one. Let's do Ionic run, and we'll do iOS. Right now, if I don't specify a simulator, it'll specify one for me. It's going to run in, if I'm not wrong, iPhone 7s. All right, so it'll try and do that. It'll try and run it for iOS. And actually, the great thing about this is, one thing I love about Ionic is you can actually troubleshoot and run your APK for Android as well as your iOS app right in Xcode, right? So if it doesn't work properly or whatever, you can troubleshoot it afterwards and see what it's doing. iPhone SE, okay, cool. I don't mind. So it's actually running a little simulator here, so we'll see what it looks like. Now, I have a problem. I have to tell you, if I try and run this in Android, what's going to happen? I'm going to have an issue. And I'll tell you, my issue is my own. It's not your own, right? I think the latest version of my Android tools that I've downloaded and installed on my machine are a little bit advanced of the Genymotion tool set, the SDK that's built into Genymotion. I like using Genymotion instead, right? Which poses a bit of a problem. This is still running. Poses a little bit of a problem when it comes to detecting through ADB tools, Android, the development tools, that whole thing, which devices are connected. So the only way I can run it through Genymotion is actually to go into Android Studio, launch my application through there, and choose Genymotion as a target. It's really weird, right? Oh yeah, it's slow because it doesn't know, but you can see now this works too, right? We'll do it for one more platform. Put my simulator. All right, and let's try it for Android. I told you this is going to mess up, right? So if I go Ionic run Android, sometimes it also fails. It's kind of weird when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? Android is believe it, I was always hoping that Android would be an easier process, but it's, I guess, for whatever reason, if you don't have your tools updated, if there's anything that's changed, your Java, anything that's changed within your tool set, it will fail. Here you go. Here's a good example of that. What went wrong? A problem occurred. You have not accepted the license agreements for the following SDKs. Android SDK Platform 25, which, by the way, I have accepted my license, right? But this is probably something new that probably happened over the last little while. So I have to go into Android Studio. If you get this error, and this is how you resolve the problem. Because, by the way, one thing that I want you guys to do for your final project is I want you to deploy native to one platform, whether it's iOS or Android or whatever. I want you to deploy native. Okay, here's an example of this, right? So my tool is updated, and that's why it is the way it is. So the only way I can run this is to do an update, right? And sure, update now. This is going to take forever. So I'm going to leave this to do it while I do other things. Because otherwise, not going to happen, right? And it's just the way it is. Like Android, one thing I like about it is the fact that it updates regularly. Another thing is I don't like about it is for the same reasons. Okay, so cool. So we got a couple of them working. Now let's run the end. Let's go back into well, that's doing what it's doing. Let's go back to native, and I want to look at the native documentation for my camera and see if we can figure it out together, because you're gonna have to do this too. All right. Here's my usage. Import camera from Ionic native. Okay, let's try this out. So I'm gonna put this in my camera. This is obviously going to go into my camera file, right? In my camera TS file. So I'm going to go back into my camera TS, and one of the dependencies that I'm going to have here on the top of just for my camera is this. Well, I'm curious. Would you think that because this is something that's going to be built in just for the camera, and my question to you is for this one, should I or do I need to have this as part of my app, the app itself that I'm telling it that's going to be built in, or is this enough? Do I just have to tell it for the page specific? Right, so that's the question. So think about this for a second, because it doesn't say anything here. It doesn't tell you, hey, by the way, you have to put this in as, from Ionic 2 perspective, you got to put it in as a dependency. It doesn't say that, right? All right. Here's something. It says, camera get picture options, and damn, that's all it has, right? So here's my quality and my source type, my number for my camera, and all this other stuff here, but really that's it. And you have my camera popover options, which is X, Y, width, height, and arrow. Damn, this is really sparse documentation here, right? So I'm gonna go here. Let's see what we got here in our GitHub. And here is a project, right? Now this is a mirror of the plugin, right? And it tells you how to install it, how to contribute. And here's my API reference for, these are my destination type and encoding types and everything else. And you can see that I've got some, it says my camera get picture function opens the device's default camera application that allows users to snap pictures by default. This behavior occurs when camera.sourceType equals camera.pictureSourceType camera. Woo! Once the user snaps the photo, the camera application closes and the application is restored. Okay, so we just want to be able to take camera. Oh, let's open up the camera application first. Can we do that? Here's the supported platforms, right? Browser is also supported. Here are the parameters, right? And so I want to be able to do this thing. So camera.getPicture. And do we have an example of that? Yes, we do. Here it is. So we're going to grab this little code here. And as soon as the picture opens, we're going to get the picture right away. Let's see what happens. And is this finished yet? Hell no. right? Let's go back to our code, right? So in here, in Ionic view did load, right? In my constructor, here's my constructor function. Inside my class, so I'm just going to bring the thing that's a little larger so you can see it. Here's my constructor, and this is my class. And when my view page, I want to be able to snap a picture right away. So I'm not even going to ask the user, bam. It's just going to go chick, chick, and it's going to snap the picture. All right, let's see what happens. So I'm going to kind of paste that in. And notice that there's options that I got to put in because it doesn't understand what options are. So let's see, we're going to add some generic options in here. Remember, we may or may not get any kind of code hinting here because options, I might get pictures. And if I look at what the kind of options are, there's camera options is what it is. And if I get it, I get some image data, but we're going to discard it right now. I don't care about the image data. All I care about is that the camera opens and I can take a picture. That's all I want to do. Right? So go back out. So here's my options, right? And my camera options is camera options. Here they are, right? For quality, now options is going to be chances are, more like an object, my guess is what it's going to be, right? Where you can specify source type, allow edit if you want to allow the editing, target width, and so on. I wonder if these are all optional, and if I'm guessing if my options are optional. I'm wondering if that is, if I just can put in an empty object, and I think they're all optional. Yeah. So let's accept the general options. And I think if I just do one of these, that should suffice. Let's see. All right, let's see. So I'm going to run this thing and see if this works locally. So I'm just going to snap a picture when this thing's done. If it works, we'll see what happens. There's no errors. If there's an error, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the console. Here's how I want to handle the error. I'm going to console log. We encountered an error. And what's the error? Plus the error, whatever message is going to be. I'll put the error in there. Here we go. Okay, so that's the error that's going to show us whenever it happens. If we somehow can't do that, then we're going to show the error message, whatever, because we need to know what that is. So let's get rid of this. It says either a base64 encoded string or a file URI, and if it's base64, you got to do it this way. I'm going to leave it as is for now. So let's see what happens. Okay, so now I have to rebuild everything, right? So I'm going to go back. Let's do it for native. Let's do it for my OS 10 native. See what happens, right? So Ionic, we'll say run OS 10. Just do native first. So it's going to save everything. Hopefully I saved everything. Looks like it did. And then if everything goes well, it's going to load everything in. So it doesn't know what it says. It's unused variable be a base 64 image. Well, of course, because we didn't do anything with it. We just loaded the camera image in, right? And now,
Sorry.
you guys are awesome.
Sorry.
You guys are awesome.
I know why I did that.
All right, so if I click on the camera, if I did it right, then it should take a picture, should take a snapshot, and I got nothing, right? So one thing I didn't get is an error, right? I didn't get any errors on here, right? Which is kind of interesting. So nothing happened when I click the camera. I'm in the camera. If I go back to home and to the camera, it works, but I get nothing, and I don't get the camera coming up. It didn't ask me for a camera. I didn't ask me if I have permission. Nothing. So that kind of didn't work, right? All right, let's check it out for iOS and see if that's the problem. So Ionic, run iOS. See if it gives me an issue there. It's not giving me an error. It's just not working, right? And I want you guys to help me out here, right? This is where I'm going to do that in a sec. -L for -L.
Yeah, so I don't serve -L, so when you could do that, but you can also do the console log.
Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, I could do that too. Yeah, you see all the images. Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah. No target for specified emulator. I'm going to pull up my 10.2, and then I'll do that afterwards. But I want to see. We should still get some, even on the console right here. We should still be able to get stuff right in here, right? So let's see what happens. Because we're not getting any kind of feedback whatsoever, right? And I can always run it through Xcode. That's a great thing. I can kind of pull this application into Xcode and see what I'm going to get, right? Now, typically, iOS is more rigorous than the web stuff, right? So if it doesn't work in iOS, it'll probably error out. It'll give me a little, or it'll hang, one of the two, right? So I wanted to see what it's going to give us. And one day, when this pops up, let's see if our poor Android's done. Yay! Okay, that's good. Oh, unzipping. Sorry, what am I thinking? I thought it was done. It's just finished unzipping, right? But it's still going. And still going. I love waiting. It's fantastic. While I'm waiting, look it up. To go into Google and see how can I install my camera API, right? So, we save time here because I want to try and do a couple of them today, all right, with you guys. And the reason for this is because, guys, you're going to run into this yourself. You're going to try and do some kind of API for your final project or some native access, which is going to be one of your requirements. And you're going to have to go through this as well, right? So let's figure it out together. And so that way you have good access later on to information. Come on, iOS. Launch. Okay, cool. So we've got our Ionic, yay, and I click on the camera, and I have nothing. So, I mean, I went there, but I didn't get any kind of error reporting, right? It did run, right?
Is it just taking the picture when you switch to that page?
Yeah, but where's my, if it was going to take the picture, I would have had a snap or something, right? And my camera itself didn't go on. Like I know from native, it didn't happen at all. Right. So what happened? It took a picture so quick, like it took that fast. There was no delay. Didn't come out, and then bam, it's gone. Right. It's kind of weird, right? Which is kind of weird. Like, I mean, it's weird that it all happened, right? I mean, I can go back and check this out in a second. Okay, next. So it didn't crash iOS, which is a good thing. That's a good sign, right? Let us run it native. I'll do an Ionic serve. I go, and you said L, right, for lab? Lab, right? Dash L. I think it's dash. You can also do dash lab if I'm not wrong. Dash lab. Sorry. That was incorrect. And I also want to try for browser and see what the difference is between browser and serve. All right, still coming up. There we go. Here's different platforms. Here's my home. Yep.
I was getting an error that was saying that Cordova is not available.
That's weird. I didn't get that. Oh, that's in here in your console. All right, so let's go inspect. Let's go console. Angular 2 is running. Native tried calling status bar style default, but Cordova is not available. Make sure to include Cordova.js or run in a device simulator. Okay, so we know that, right? So I'm wondering if that's part of the thing. That's part of the reason why we can't do it here locally, right? So I'm gonna go here, and if I click on camera, then it says we encountered an error. That's what I put in there, right? We encountered an error and Cordova not available. So that's kind of the error that we're getting here, right? So we can't do it here in our local view to test it because Cordova only runs in an emulator. Invitation for us, right? So this is no good. Hey, I'm just being honest, man. It's like, so it is. All right, let's do the next one. And by the way, it says this is just a warning. That's all it is. It's not really telling me it's an error. All right, so let's go Ionic, and we'll say run browser. Now that is an emulator, if I'm not wrong. But I'm wondering if it's going to ask us for permission, if it's going to work at all. Because usually for browsers, because of security, it'll ask us for permission. if it's going to run at all. Okay, it's running Chrome. It is. Set Chrome as your default browser. Of course, it's my default browser. All right, cool. Let us see. You can change what to see for. That's weird. Let's look at our inspect because we have access to our inspector here, and we're going to console, and we don't have a logo. That's okay. Status bar is not supported because same issues as before, and I want to get my bar to happen low. No, I'm going to try and go back in there. How do we do that again? Or is it here? No. Oh, where the hell did I move that? Yeah, that should do it right there, actually, that little part, but it doesn't matter. I can just go to console and move from there. Console. All right, so let's go to camera and go to console and failed to load reserve. Server was responding with a 404. Device ready, fired after 1169. Look. So it did something, right? It says device ready. So something was supposed to happen. I didn't get any kind of snap going on. Huh?
It asked me if I wanted to allow it to.
Did it? It worked? How come for me? What's going on? Why am I the bad boy, man? Come on. What the hell's wrong with this? And it worked for you just like the same way?
Yeah, well, I put an element to see what because it just returns.
All right, you got to show me what did I do wrong? Right? Come on. This is I'm getting mad now. How come it's working for you, not for me? All right. No, it's not Mac. Don't say that. Right? All right, let me go back to Android. Still doing poor Android. Android might work a little better for us, right? All right, so it says our options is, and you put in the options the same way, right? Just like no options, right? Yeah.
So it's like the home.
And you did it with just native browser, or what did you do? Or
I read,
run browser. Okay. And it didn't ask me for anything. It didn't do it. It didn't ask me. It just failed, right? Anthony, it's your fault, man. I mean, yeah, I got to blame somebody, right? I can't blame myself. What's that? Can't blame myself. Come on. Let's quit this. All right, so it worked for somebody. Now, this is interesting. What it did here is it says static file server running, and it did run the Cordova JS file, right, which is kind of cool. It showed you all the device. The camera device worked, right, because it loaded up the device. It gave me a 200, which is an okay. It did give me a logo because I don't have a logo right now, but it's apparently working, right? Now, did it ask you to take a picture, or did it just like pop up with a camera? What did it do?
it popped up with the camera beside it.
The capture button. See, why am I unlucky? I wanted to show you guys, but let's try it again. Sonic run browser. I wonder if I can specify the browser. Browser Firefox. I wonder if I can do that. I don't think so. I think you can't specify this. No. It's going to try and think about it as a build. It's going to say, what's Firefox? I don't understand what that is. It's going to try and do both builds. Yeah, unknown platforms, Firefox. All right, so how to choose browser, Ionic run. Set default option. Okay. Ionic serve. And oh yeah, you're specifying it here, but I don't care about that. I want to specify a browser on the command line. Yeah, that's just native. The reason why I'm thinking about this, by the way, is because Ionic project. You guys take a look, because sometimes for me, I don't know if it happens for you guys. Chrome, it has security settings that prevents me from doing anything like that. And because I have a pop-up blocker, that's probably why it didn't come up and ask me for anything. right? So I don't have that on my Firefox, I don't think. So I think it's under my configuration. Let's see if I can do that. Ionic config.json. No. Allow intent. This all gets generated for you. But this is the Cordova file. Android splash show status bar plugin device and splash screen. So that's not really it. Okay, guys, I need help again. I feel terrible, but I'm a little lazy this morning. Yeah, I'm not sure that that's going to help me. Because for me to search through my entire platform, you mean my whole hooks wouldn't be there. It's got to be somewhere from a configuration perspective. Oh, within the browser platform, you mean? Sorry, just kind of going down. Here's my camera. And file. These are all my plugins that I'm going to use. This is what we showed last time, Windows status bar, keyboard, whitelist. I wonder if I put it in here. Oh, my config.xml. What does it say? It says you should add default browser or serve default browser where I confirm simply default browser, your browser, ionic.project does the trick. Where's ionic.project? Ionic.project. Just trying to here, default. It works. I feel I'm robbed, guys. I don't like it. Oh, it's not it right here. So it's not in here. It's not in package. It's not Ionic. Manifest. This always happens. I'm kind of have a. I wonder if I can just choose my platform anyway. Okay, let's try that again. Disk out of space. I love it. How is my disk out of space to stop recording? How's that possible? All right. That's impossible, actually. That's impossible. I can't be out of space. I've got gigs of data left. Anyways, let's just go into this next piece. Try it again. So I want to try the browser instead of Firefox, single browser. And then once it runs Chrome, yeah, there it is. I might as well save this thing. How the hell am I out of space? That's the bizarre of the bizarre. What is it doing? Maybe it's because I'm recording and recording. How about this? Is this still going? Yay, we're still going. All right. It's taking a sweet time, that's for sure. All right. And this is going to be, we're going to put it up here. We're going to make this part 2 of recording. That stopped unusually fast. Copy finished. Come on, guy. Oh, yeah, of course, we're also doing Android Studio stuff. That's why I'm running out of space. How about them apples, right? Who knows what Android Studio is downloading and installing, right? That could be taking up all my space right now. All right, so this is cool. Maybe what I can do here is instead of using Chrome, I can take the same path and just run in Firefox. And that'll be the easiest way. Because Firefox, not that I'm saying it has less control, but I sometimes find myself having more options with Firefox than I do with Chrome when it comes to security. It's tempting. Oh, yeah, looks like it's going to work. Good. Let's kill this thing. Yeah.
The difference that I looked at, like I did it for one thing, we did both, I just created
Okay. Yeah, but it's still, it should,
but yeah, it should still.
mine doesn't even work here either.
Now, is your
Oh, see? Right? Capture. Right, there we go. So that's what it does. Whoa, I'm getting a feedback there for a second. I guess it captured a little video too. Who the hell knows, right? Anyways, whew, that's a great place to take a break. Plus, I'm running out of room, right? So let's take a small break, and then from there, when we come back, oh yeah, I'm getting all kinds of feedback now. I guess once I've given my my browser access, it gives it access forever. Oh yeah, of course it failed because there's no room. You killed my room, Android. Look, low disk space. All right, we'll come back. When we come back, we'll do more of this. We'll add in. We'll try the Google Maps API to see if we can get a map on one of another page. Okay.